Danny Darrow, and I'm sitting in for Josiane's show, Persons of Interest. Yes, I'm keeping her seat nice and warm while Josiane is in the control room directing and producing her show with our facilitator, Rick, which is absolutely wonderful, over at the MNN TV network in New York City. Today, we're remembering Joe Franklin. Joe was born Joseph Fortgang on March the 9th, 1926, and passed on January 24th, 2015. Joe was 88 and an American radio and TV host, broadcasting from New York City and Secaucus, New Jersey. When Joe was in his early 20s, in 1950, he started his television talk show on WJZ-TV, moved to ABC, and went on to WOR-TV from 1962 till 1993. It was said that Joe interviewed over 300,000 guests and celebrities, which you're going to see a few of them shortly, during his career, and was the first talk show host on TV. I was with him since the late 1950s while I was hosting my own show for the United Cerebral Palsy telethons all over the country. And we did approximately 300 shows together, Joe used to tell me. And we also did a movie which we won an award for, the best commentary in the Seattle, Washington film festival. That was 2005 or 2006. And Josiane, we got some pictures about Joe and myself. That was written by Jack Bank, and he also wrote it. There we are. There's Joe, and there's myself, and there's Nina Kazarowski along with us. And that was I think it was about 2005 or 2006. And then Joe and I would speak to each other. Oh my God! Another picture. Look at that. Oh, there's Joe, and there's Jack Bank in the background also. And Jack, as I said before, was the writer and the producer of the show. And I think the name of the movie was All Bookies Wear Speedos. And anyways, Joe and I would talk every single week and everything else. And when he didn't feel good, I would send him to my doctors and everything else. And then also, when I wrote and produced my own show, when I was at Tavern on the Green in November of 1997, Joe ran over there and Joe opened up the show for me, and he was really something. Joe always had the biggest heart in the entire world. Joe was also an actor, and he appeared in such films as The Aristocrats 2005, Ghouls School 1990, Broadway Danny Rose in 1984, Ghostbusters, The Mercy Man, When Movies Were Movies, and many others, along with his own TV show, Down Memory Lane. Joe was truly the spirit of New York and my dear friend. Joe would also say, Danny, we have to go to lunch one day and stuff like that. I said, all right, fine. I said, Joe, let's go to Encore over at St. Malachy's. He says, wait a minute. He says, is that a soup kitchen? And I say, yeah, it is, Joe. He says, I can't be seen there. Oh, my God. So anyways, that was the end of our lunch for a while. But we finally caught up. we finally caught up. Joe had always a slogan, I think, that he picked up from Eddie Cantor, where he always used to say, It's nice to be important, but it's even more important to be nice. Yeah, little did Joe know that Joe was starting his career when he was a very young teenager in the late 1930s. He would follow Al Jolson around. He would follow Eddie Cantor around. And he became, a writer, and he wrote Cantor's jokes for him. And he even produced Eddie Cantor's Carnegie Hall show when he was only 14 years old. And while also he was working behind the scenes on the Kate Smith Hour show, as well when he was 16, he worked on the Martin Block Make Believe Ballroom show. And Joe was known as the young wreck with the old records. And of course, I'm sitting in Joe's office right now, and you know, take a look around, because nowadays Joe would be known as the older wreck with the older records. And you know, Joe collected tens of thousands of vinyls that, you know, really they don't make them anymore. And everybody used to give him the vinyl records, the 12-inch and the 7-inch and everything else. And I used to give him my vinyl records also, which the collectors sell on Google now, you know, for hundreds of dollars. That's if you can find them. But I mean, they're all out of print right now. But the thing, from the beginning, from Joe's beginning, which started from silent films to the beginning of the 20th century, Joe became an authority on pop culture, and he was nicknamed the King of Nostalgia. Joe became the creator of the television talk show and is listed in the Guinness Book of World Records as the longest running talk show and host on TV, longer than Johnny Carson by a decade. And of course, after Joe retired, Joe went on to Bloomberg Radio, and he continued his show called Nostalgia Moments. And while he was mentoring thousands of aspiring actors and entertainers until the last days, Joe died of prostate cancer at a Manhattan hospice on January 24th, 2015, at the age of 88. God bless you and keep you, Joe Franklin, my dear friend. And now, here's some of Joe's beautiful moments, which we'll all remember. Some of it, and we're going to come to some more right now, so don't take your eyes off the screen. And here we are. And this is also now from the Lost Video Vault of Joe Franklin.
In about 1 minute, I'm going to go into the vault. You know, Jack Benny had a vault? Well, I've got a vault, and in my vault, as they say, among my souvenirs, let me tell you that today you're going to see something most incredible.
You are on the air. Hello? Hello? Okay? Okay.
It's a great pleasure for me to be. Whenever I'm in the Times Square area, I always drop in and see my friend Joe Franklin.
Gentlemen may prefer blondes, but blondes prefer cute, handsome talk show hosts like yourself, Joe.
Joe Franklin, good. And more importantly, I'd like to thank Joe Franklin for having the taste and the decency to disguise my appearance during this interview. You know, Joe, there's a lot of undesirable elements out there that would rather see you as truly a permanent part of the 96th Street exit of the West Side Highway, if you know what I mean. So I'd like to thank you for disguising my appearance and for putting that black thing over my face. Thank you.
Don't mention it, Yucky. Don't even give it a mention. I'd like to thank my favorite crime czar, and I think just about everybody's personal favorite hoodlum, and all I can say is that I'm honored that you chose my program, Yucky, to be the first program you ever appeared on.
Wait a minute, Joe. I saw that. The black thing wasn't over my face. It was over your face. Hey, what are you trying to do to me, Joe? Hey, what are you trying to do? Hey,
So, what are you doing tonight, Joey?
I'm visiting with one of my very favorite entertainers, one of the all-time greats, and the best friend that a diamond ever had, Miss Carol Channing, and her son, Mr. Carl Channing. Carol, were you ever a stage mother, as the saying goes, or did you ever push your son to be more or less the same thing that you are?
I've always encouraged Carl to be an individual and to always be his own person.
Carl, would you say that your mom is right?
Absolutely right, Joe. You know, if there's one thing my mom always told me is to just be myself. If you've got a dream, just go for it, you know? Isn't that what you told me, Mom?
That's what I told you, sir.
Well, that's what I told Joe you told me.
Well, I'm so glad you told Joe what I told you.
Well, good. In fact, all of our robots, Joe, are programmed with exactly the same traits and characteristics of the superstar that they are impersonating.
The Lizatron, therefore, Dr. Gristle, you're implying, can talk exactly like the real Liza.
Exactly, Joe. All of our robots are programmed with exactly the same vocabulary that the real superstar has. And in the case of our Lizatron here, it was a pretty easy task because the real Liza essentially only has about 17 words in her entire vocabulary, which she keeps repeating over and over and over again. For example, like...
Thank you. Thank you. Darlings. Darlings. It's truly terrific. Marvelously marvy. Show business is my life. This one's for Mama.
And that's about it, Joe.
Baby Ruth, may I ask you, how did you happen to become the world's youngest sex therapist?
Then, Joey, ever since I can remember, all I've seen in televisions or on the movies is sex. Sex, sex, sex. It's all that is on people's minds. Sex, 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 sex.
How old are you?
Oh, I mean 6.
6.
Okay? Okay.
I'm over 2,000 years old. You know, if I knew I was going to live this long, I'd have taken better care of myself.
Do you think that movie making has changed much since those silent film days, Mr. Vasilino?
And the Beatles will be around as long as there's a record player and an ear.
Mr. Wingo, you might like to tell us a little bit about this particular bit of pure gold.
Well, Joe, what you've got there is the original version of the first album released by the Beatles here in the States. And that was the way it originally looked before I left the group. And of course, once I left, they had my picture removed from the cover.
Has the real Liza ever seen her robot counterpart in action, Doctor?
Oh, yes, Joe. In fact, last summer in Atlantic City, the Lizatron robot here filled in for the real Liza in a concert that she was unable to attend, and it was remarkable. Nobody knew the difference. In fact, Peter Allen spent 2 hours in the dressing room trying to make up with our Lizatron. He kept saying, "I know this time we could make it work." It was really funny.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but aren't witches a little bit out of vogue? I don't see many witches around nowadays. You know what I'm saying?
Correctamundo, Joe. Why, there's plenty of witches all around the place. Why, I run into Joan Collins and Rhoda Barrett all the time.
How about you telling us once and for all, Miss Monroe, the real truth? Do blondes have more fun?
Oh, golly gee, Joe, I don't really know.
You know, Joe, I think blondes do have more fun. At least when they're with me.
Sid Bernstein, the music impresario, claims that he was the first man to bring the Beatles to this country, and many people wonder Is that true that Sid Bernstein brought them first to America?
Yes, Joe, it's absolutely true. Sid Bernstein was the first man to bring the Beatles to America. Of course, he was working as a pilot for TWA at the time.
Rumors always abound, Mr. Wingo, to the effect that the Beatles will someday be back together again. Do you think that could ever come to pass?
Well, Joe, I really can't speak for the other guys, but I guess I can use your show to sort of officially announce this, but sometime early next year, I will be getting back together.
And, of course, our Lizatron comes fully equipped with a total array of celebrity impersonations. Well, for example,
Here's looking at you, kid.
you dirty rat.
Yeah, all right, you guys. Yeah. You look marvelous. The combination of these carefully measured amounts of shredded wheat, granola bars, and polyester socks that gives us the equation known as the theory of relativity. It's really as simple as that, Joe.
The only theory of relativity that I sort of comprehend is don't hire your nephew.
You better laugh. I'll get you, my pretties, and you little dogs, too.
They say I'm crazy, I'm a schmo, a dumb little sonny, but that's the way it goes. I'll get you bail, I'll get you bail. God's always been my game, play it how I may. I was made that way, I come home. Stop spreading, stop spreading, stop spreading.
Hold it, Joe. There's something wrong
Stop
here.
spreading.
Let me just see.
Stop
I neglected
spreading.
to tell you, Joe, we've had a little problem
Stop
with this
spreading.
model here. It
This
just seems to
one's
keep
for Mama.
breaking down all the time.
Stop
And every 6
spreading.
months ago, it's got to go back to the
Stop
shop.
spreading.
Where might our audience see Attila the Hun these days? And these nights?
Joe, this coming Labor Day, I will be at the Concord Hotel with the marvelous Regis Philbin. What a fabulous performer. You've never seen his act, have you, Joe? He is out of this world. And then, of course, they'll be doing a new TV movie, which is a sequel to my life story. My first one was called Hun. The sequel is called Son of Hun.
Promise you'll come back and visit with us and co-host with us again one day very, very soon, okay?
Okay, John.
Promise me, you promise the audience out there you come back one day to chat with me again soon, soon, soon. Promise me, maybe you'll come back and visit me again very, very soon.
Okay, Joe.
What do you say we shake on that?
Okay.
Well, let's shake on that. Oh.
Oh, you spilled the water on me, Joe. Oh, I'm melting. Thanks so much, Joe.
Butterfingers.
Wow, that's really something from Joe's Lost Video Vault. And now we're going to wind up this first segment with 50 million fans watching. And here we go with the wonderful Joe Franklin. Keep your eyes on us.
Spanning the globe, the Orgo works for you. From New York, Times Square, Joe Franklin, host of New York's longest-running television talk show, retires from his TV land throne after 43 years, a world's record for television endurance. Florio officially proclaims August 9th Joe Franklin Day.
You get to go to the beach, you ride bikes, it's your day.
Joe Franklin, the master of memory lane, hopscotch from his early radio days to becoming Gotham City's greatest gabster. This big cheese from the Big Apple racked up an astonishing 300,000.
I could teach young women how to get rid of those yearnings safely. You don't have to bum around. You don't have to be a tramp. You don't have to drink it away. You can go out, learn to dance with the old man, be with the boys. I don't know all the answers.
Joe Franklin has swapped gags with Jerry Lewis, yucked it up with celebrated surrealist Salvador Dali. Here's Joe Franklin with ageless crooner Rudy Valley, fitness guru Jack LaLanne, and a young singer named Barbara Streisand. Honored for the first time from the vaults of Mr. Franklin is an early appearance from superstar-in-waiting Julia Roberts.
How old? You know why you can't miss? Because your face and your voice and your body all match.
Sadly, many of Mr. Franklin's shows have been lost in the sands of television history. But his radio show and his legendary appeal live on.
Joe, to the world you may be the king of nostalgia, but to me, you're king of my heart.
Although the real Joe Franklin remains elusive, this narrator can be sure of one thing: that 50 million Joe Franklin fans can't be wrong.
And they see me feeling so happy-go-lucky, looking in your happy-go-lucky eyes. And this be me feeling so happy-go-lucky, me what's always acted so smart and wise. Can this be me singing, oh, everything's ducky, following you on your happy-go-lucky way? Well, if it's me feeling so happy-go-lucky, pardon me while I skip a kiss to say, heaven bless this happy-go-lucky day. I'm feeling low, I'm feeling so happy-go-lucky. Pardon me while I skip a kiss to say.
Hey, how are you? How are you? I heard you're auditioning for new mascots for your new production you're doing.
You're hired, you're hired.
No, not me,
Oh,
not me.
you.
The bird. Raquel.
Raquel?
Yeah. 55 years old, Joe.
Raquel,
From
how are you
Ecuador.
feeling?
She's nostalgic herself.
Boy, neuralgia or
No, nostalgic.
Okay.
And she speaks Spanish and English.
Really?
Yeah, very tame.
Que pasta, que pasta.
I think she speaks better Spanish than you do, Joe.
Hable Jewish?
Alibi, as they say in the trades. How are you, baby?
Long time.
Long time no see. What you been doing?
I've been hanging around.
Business, huh?
Yeah, I've been hanging around. I've been sitting here and,
We were boys together, you know.
Right.
We know each other when we what? 8, 9, 10?
In the old neighborhood.
That's right. Old neighborhood. Whatever happened to that?
Some kids were poor, some were poor. Tony, in those days, I think it was poor. I think we used to ask for a nickel to go to the club meeting, and then once we got the nickel from our parents, we would walk to the club meeting, remember? To save the nickel.
Well, I didn't save it. You did save it.
When
You were always the more reliable of the two of us.
When Tony deposits a check, the bank bounces.
Really?
TV, of course, is this little box, this piece of furniture that talks and sends us pictures. And Joe is unlike anyone else who's had a television program. He is like a missionary. He was like a priest. And his mission was really to discover people, to make everybody feel like they were the most wonderful human being in the world, and to really help human beings, and in a very real way.
Joey and
Marky. Hiya.
Hi.
Well, what
Hello,
a
how are
Good to
you?
be here.
Have you ever seen our show on TV, The Real Truth, Joey?
Oh, yeah.
I've seen it since I was about 5, I would think.
Really?
Yeah, I used to watch Memory Lane.
That's right.
Yep. My mom used to turn around and say, Mom, I want to watch the show.
Well, your mom always had good taste in
She
programs
has taste.
and in sons, right?
Right.
And when you hear that very chipper theme song, you're going to usually meet half chipper me saying, good morning, everybody, good morning, world, good morning, beyond the world. If I could write a song, I would call it To the End of the World with You, and then to the world beyond. That's how much I enjoy it, how much I want to be with you. First, let me say good morning, whether it's 8:30 in the morning or 1:30 in the morning. We say good morning. Yours truly, Joe Franklin, hosting. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everybody, a very cordial welcome to our Joe Franklin TV show every day for 90 minutes. We have open house. We chit-chat. We try and keep it informal and relaxed, and it's fun. The program is called Memory Lane every morning. Joe Franklin hosting show business, television business, past, present, and future. Well, the secret of longevity in my field is answering the telephone. Hello? Who's that? Sydney, I'm being interviewed here by 60 minutes. Call back at 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock. I would say the secret of longevity in my field, and we'll have to point out again, the mortality rate is staggering. I mean, there have been 400 talk show hosts in New York City alone who came and went since I began. 400. And I was right there for 43 consecutive years on TV, daytime, nighttime. But you can't really fake it. The audience knows if you're faking. They know if you're blasé. They know if you're bored. They know if the phone is ringing. Oh, one second. Hello? Okay. Hello?
Only recently, I called up Joe to tell him something, and I couldn't believe how his mind worked. It's sharp, like a whistle. It's like he's clairvoyant. I mean, and not many people possess that power, but there's no way on earth he really could have known what I was about to say or what I did, but he knew.
Did Bing Crosby ever really go boo 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 when he sang?
Yes, there's a couple of records, I think, in Learn to Croon from a picture called College Humor.
Was that on purpose or before?
No, it was considered very classy. Then, you know, from Boo 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 they went to Vo Do De O, and then Hi De Ho, and then Ha Cha Cha, and then Hey Hey.
When I was a kid, I loved Eddie Cantor, I loved Jack Benny, I loved Fred Allen, I loved Bob Hope. And whereas I'm not exactly a comedian, although I do a little bit of tongue-in-cheek, my whole life being kind of a spoof, I guess, I would like me. If I were a kid, I would like me.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Joe Franklin.
Okay, my name is Howard Stern. I'm only kidding. Now listen, I want to tell you something. I have interviewed 300,000 people, but let me make one point. I gave the first exposure ever on TV ever. Now listen for 1 second to Bruce Springsteen, Michael Jackson, 5 times with the Jackson family, Bette Midler, Barbara Streisand, Bill Cosby, Eddie Murphy, but the ones that I'm proudest of introducing is They Might Be Giants.
The ultimate, Mr. Joe Franklin, ladies and gentlemen. This one's for Joe. Sometimes I feel like being wispy, and once in a while I feel like being dry. But we're doomed and we're drowned by this feeling we surround, so I hope that I get old before I die. Oh, it's a long, long rope they used to hang you soon, I hope. And I wonder why this hasn't happened. Why? And I think about the dirt that I'll be wearing for a shirt. And I hope that I get old before I die.
Well, that was some of wonderful moments of my darling Joe Franklin. And we're going to be back with another segment of Persons of Interest, Josiane's Persons of Interest, where you're going to see some wonderful moments of this wonderful, wonderful man. I'm Danny Darrow saying stay tuned, and we'll see you very soon.
We have speed.
Okay, have you got sound?